And we are back! Now, this week, or this weekend, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about something I heard on the radio and that shocked me and was just an additional reminder of how dangerous the modern world has become. And, how cutthroat the nature of what things like social media do to us on an individual level and also as a societal level. So, I think it was like 2 weeks ago at this point, so it was like 2 Mondays ago, not last Monday, but the Monday before that, I was driving into work, or was driving into the train station and stuff like that, to catch my train to work, and, just popped on the radio and went to one of the top 40 music style channel, the radio stations for the young people. And I know that makes no sense because who the hell listens to radio stations? And that would be me because I have a car from the early 2000s, so it doesn't really have phone integration, but that's a whole nother story. And there's other reasons why I still would listen to radio. There's a lot of other reasons, but that's a story for another day. But what did I hear on the radio? The radio was talking, the two hosts of whatever channel or whatever show in the morning were talking about a recent celebrity death that had just happened, within the past 24 hours, right? So there is a music collective out of Atlanta. You probably know them. They're called Migos, and one of their members, Takeoff, was unfortunately killed, shot and killed, that day before, at an event. It was some sort of private party event, and apparently, I don't know all the details, but apparently something went south, and people, some guns got drawn out, and classic American story, someone got shot and killed, and unfortunately it was Takeoff. Now, the concerning part, the concerning part is, gun violence in America, sure, that's one thing, and the cutthroat nature of the rap game, and how rappers just seem to be dying every day of the week, but they're not what we're going to be trying to be focusing on with our self-development kind of focus in this one. That's more macro, a macro society kind of issue, and mainly kind of, pertains to America because of the guns and stuff like that. But the scary thing was what the two hosts on the radio channel were talking about, all of this footage of, everyone knows he's dead and saw that he died because there were all these videos on, I don't know the exact places, but I'm sure on Twitter, Instagram, all the socials, people were taking videos of his dead body and stuff like that, lying on the floor and, being like, whoa, that's crazy. And I remember sitting there in the car listening to that and just thinking, how batshit insane is that people are so integrated with their phone and social media that it has actually become part of their reality and how they interact with the world in any sort of situation that they find themselves in. And instead of when you think about it, instead of calling, I mean, the guy got shot in the head, so he's dead, but you know what I mean, there was no saving that guy, unfortunately. But regardless, you know what I mean? It is crazy to think that someone could get shot in front of you or injured in front of you, whatever it may be, and instead of calling emergency services, ambulance, police, whoever, your first reaction is to pull out your phone and do your shocked reaction to it live on scene. It's just weird, you know what I mean? It's incredibly strange, and I think it really shows how what social media does is it makes it possible for you to do socially unacceptable behavior and think it's okay. If you were walking along the street and you witnessed a car crash and you can't, like, let's just say that there are only two cars on the road, the crash happens, you then run up to the scene and you see that, like, one person is in one of the cars, like, severely injured, the other person you can see is, like, let's say dead. If your first reaction or, like, first instinct is to pull out your phone and, like, start recording, stuff, like, I feel like that's when you're a bit messed up in the head, and I think you've got your priorities in life probably in a weird kind of place. And I think it's kind of crazy that, like, these mobile devices, like these smartphones, have essentially, there's that old saying that it's, like, glued to your hand, but I mean, you kind of see it there, like, with that kind of behavior, that I don't think those people are necessarily, like, bad people for filming that guy's death, or filming it. Like, I'm not saying that they're necessarily bad people. I think they're just so behaviorally dependent upon this piece of technology that so much of their behavior is to whip out their phone and start recording or taking photos or whatever it necessarily is, but documenting it through that, like, documenting their lives through this, like, digital thing, and not just theirs but their environment. And I think it shows that people really can't, I know it sounds weird, but, like, people can't live in the moment, because if you were actually present in that moment when that emergency is happening, your response would be to call, 911, or, like, well, in America 911, but in, whatever, emergency services, and kind of get something done about that. And even then, like, filming a dead body, I think, across, every culture is a very socially unacceptable thing to do. Like, it's not something you'll go to jail for, but I think it's something that, as people, we kind of, are like, you should have some respect for the dead, and, what are you doing filming dead bodies like that? Like, it's a bit messed up. And I think, like, once again, that's another example of how it's trained people to essentially do socially unacceptable behaviors in society and think that's okay, and not even just think that it's okay, not even know that there's something wrong with that. And I just feel that the more that you get ingrained within that kind of internet culture, and I know internet culture takes on many forms just due to the vast array, almost infinite subcultures that exist, but falling into those kind of things, I think, greatly impacts in a negative fashion your ability to, I think, properly and in a socially good way interact within society as a whole. And I think that's why getting off those and trying to purge that out of your life is just, this is just one example, like one additional example and reason why I think you need to cut as much of that stuff out of your life as possible. Like, not even talking about, like, the time sink nature of these platforms and of these pieces of technology. Not even addressing that. Like, that alone is enough for you to like, kind of cut that off and, like, and sever that. But what I'm trying to bring across is that it's not just the time sink component of it. It is changing it's changing your personality, in many respects. And that's a crazy thing when you think about it, because you don't have as much control over that, because it is what the algorithm dictates to you, as in what you see, and then what you see becomes, your reality, and then you start doing what you see. It kind of is that old monkey see, monkey do kind of thing. And you could also talk about the clout chasing nature of it. Like, maybe they filmed Takeoff dying on the floor because they wanted the clout, or the exposure, or the online click-throughs, whatchamacallit, from posting such such a I was gonna say powerful kind of thing, but I feel like that's probably the wrong word. Such a distressing kind of moment in someone's life. and for someone who happens to be famous, which, you know, kind of adds its own angle to things. So yeah, I guess that is just, when I was sitting in the car, I was just thinking, man, we have gone backwards as like a people, like as humanity in some respects. Like, if that is what people are doing, and you know, I know you can say, well, you know, you can't blame everyone for the actions of those people, but I feel like it's becoming a more and more common thing where people just seem not to think, and they just kind of whip out their phones and record things, you know, just like it's nothing, instead of actually acting within the world, with acting in reality, like, and trying to do the right thing. It just seems jarring to see a bunch of people just standing there with their phones out, with their flash, you know, like kind of recording and stuff like that. Meanwhile, there's literally people dying in front of them. It's like, man, that is going to be, that's just a weird situation to be. So I think, just to wrap it up and just to tie it all up again, you know, delete your social media, get off it. You don't need it. Like, once you get rid of it, you realize how much of a vampire it is in your life, and how much, like, it's one of those things, like, you think you need it just because everyone has it. But, you know, if everyone is running off a cliff, like, yeah, if you're standing still, yeah, you're going to be that one person who looks insane. But the reality is, you're the one who's not jumping off the damn cliff and killing yourself, or at least, you know, doing yourself, like, great disservice and harm. So, yeah, get rid of it, and trust me, after a month or two, you will, you know, have a new lease on life, and to be honest, you'll feel a lot better. Like, that's another aspect, is like the feeling of loneliness and FOMO that, like, social media can give you. I'm really struggling to find positives based off, like, what these things provide. You know, you could, like, I know people say it's, oh, you can connect with anyone anywhere, but, like, yeah, now, like, you know, racists and, you know, neo-Nazis can now connect with one another online thanks to the wonders of, you know, social media. And, you know, echo chambers are abound everywhere. So it's like, yeah, people can connect, but it also enables, like, you know, really horrible people to go, oh, wait, I'm not the only person that has this horrible personality and set of beliefs. It's like, oh, wow, I have a sense of belonging to a group now. That's a good idea. Whatever. You get the message. I think you'll do the right thing. I believe in you. See you next time, boys and girls.